For a boy, a father is his first hero. It was no different for Bima. His father, a long-haul driver, was a gallant figure rarely seen, and every homecoming was a long-awaited celebration. However, as time went on, sweet promises began to feel empty, and the figure of that hero slowly faded, replaced by deep disappointment. Behind it all, there was the struggle of a mother who silently shouldered the family's burden alone, working hard under the hot sun while the hero was nowhere to be found. Until one day, a huge secret in another city was revealed, a truth that threatened to shatter what was left of Bima's trust. What will Bima do when the hero he worshipped turns out to be hiding a lie that could destroy everything? And amidst the ruins of his family, can he find the true hero who has been by his side all along? My name is Bima, and once, my father was a hero to me. His job as a long-haul bus driver made him a rare presence at home. My younger sister, Rara, and I could count on one hand the number of times we saw him in a month. But it was precisely because he was so rarely seen that his every return felt like a celebration. I had a special ritual. Whenever my mother said, "Maybe your father will come home tonight," I would sit on the porch, staring at the dark end of the village road, waiting for the distinct glow of bus headlights. When that light finally appeared, I would run into the house screaming, "Dad's home." He always brought gifts, whether it was a cheap toy or snacks from the city. To me, those gifts were proof that he was always thinking of us on his long journeys. He was my brave hero, conquering the roads for his family. When I started middle school, something changed. My father's promises began to feel empty. "We'll go to the beach for the holidays," he'd say over the phone. But the holidays would come and go, and we never saw the beach. "I'll buy new shoes for you, Bima," he'd promise again. But my shoes remained the same old pair, their soles nearly falling off. His homecomings became more and more unpredictable. Sometimes, he'd say he would be back on the weekend, only to show up 2 weeks later without any sense of guilt. My mother, who was usually patient, began to let out long sighs more often. The weight of the family was clearly settling on her shoulders. She was the one who worked in the rice fields from morning until evening, and she was the one who made sure Rara and I never lacked anything. Meanwhile, my hero was slowly turning into someone whose words I could no longer trust. My biggest disappointment reached its peak when I was in high school. One day, I had to go to the city to handle some school paperwork and stayed overnight at my uncle's house. That evening, during a casual chat, my uncle unintentionally asked, "How's your new little brother in the other city, Bima? Your dad said he has a son, too." I froze. My heart felt like it had stopped beating. "New brother? What do you mean, uncle?" I asked, my voice trembling. My uncle's face turned pale as he realized he had revealed something he shouldn't have. That night, he told me everything. It turned out my father wasn't just a bus driver. He also had another home at the end of his route. He had another wife and a son who was not much younger than Rara. My world collapsed in that instant. My father wasn't just a liar, he was a betrayer. From that night on, I built a high wall between myself and my father. Whenever he called, I would hand the phone to my mother, making an excuse that I was busy. When he came home, I would lock myself in my room. I couldn't bear to look at his face, the same face that smiled at us also smiled at his other family. I held this secret all by myself. I didn't have the heart to tell my mother. I could see she was already too tired, that she had sacrificed too much. How could I add the deepest wound to her heart? So, I chose to remain silent. I channeled my anger and hatred for my father into energy to help my mother more in the fields and to study harder at school. I promised myself I would become the man my mother and Rara could rely on. Time passed. I managed to graduate and get a decent job in the city. I finally gathered the courage to tell my mother everything. She cried, of course, but her tears didn't last long. She looked at me with tired yet resilient eyes and said, "I've suspected it for a long time, son. Thank you for being strong for me." The three of us, me, Mom, and Rara, started a new chapter. We never called my father for money again. We never waited for him to come home again. We learned to be happy with our own strength. My father never came to apologize, but it no longer mattered. The hero I used to wait for at the end of the road was gone, but I had found the true hero who was by my side all along, my mother. And now, it was my turn to be a hero for her.